Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Stacey Spivey, joined alongside Monique Robinson and Ben Briscoe.
You know what? I never want to hear people say the Triad is a boring place again, because guess where Stacey's going tonight?
The Elton John concert at the Greensboro Coliseum. I am so excited. I mean, I've been waiting for almost 2.5 years now.
Yeah, the pandemic just kept pushing it back and back.
Right? We bought these tickets, and I'll talk about this later on the show, but we bought these tickets in 2019, and here we are in 2022, finally about to go to the concert.
Well, we're getting time. After the 4 is over, you can get on down there.
Well, I'm going to be in the 5 and the 6, so 6:30.
Right.
But hey, it's going to be great. The weather's beautiful. It's just going to be
Perfect
all
day
around
for it.
a good day, right?
It is.
Well, we do have a lot of stories to get to this afternoon.
Starting with the continuing coverage on the hearing in a 20-year-old Forsyth County murder investigation. It is the second day for a panel of judges reviewing evidence in the case of 4 men convicted in the death of Chris Paul's grandfather.
Back in 2002, Nathaniel Jones was found beaten to death outside his Winston-Salem home. 2 years after Jones's death, brothers Rayshawn Banner and Nathaniel Cawthon were convicted of murder and robbery. They were sentenced to life in prison. In 2005, 3 others were also held accountable for the death. Since then, the group, Winston-Salem 5, has said they are innocent. In 2020, the NC Innocence Inquiry Commission held a hearing to review the innocence claims and ruled a judicial review was necessary because a key witness recanted her testimony.
The defense said it believes the teens' confessions were coerced by law enforcement and false. It also said no DNA testing was performed during the pre-trial, even though it was available back in 2002.
There's a lot to this investigation, and today is just day 2. Coming up at 5 o'clock, we'll have more, including new witness testimony from court. Turning now to the aftermath of a deadly fire in Davie County. Firefighters are investigating the cause of a fire they say killed 4 people. It happened yesterday afternoon around 2 in Coolamy, a town just south of Mocksville. Officials found a mother, father, and their 2 children dead inside the home. They blocked the street on Junction Road as the sheriff's office investigated. Investigators stayed on scene well into the morning, searching for what may have started this fire. This is a developing story. Of course, we'll keep you updated as we learn more. New at 4 o'clock, one Triad nursing home is no longer allowed to accept new patients. A letter from the state claims conditions at Westwood Health and Rehabilitation in Archdale are detrimental to the health and safety of residents. The center provides short-term rehabilitation for people living with dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Westwood Health and Rehabilitation has 20 days to appeal these violations. Developing now, the future of the new Carolina Panthers headquarters remains up in the air. Today, team owner David Tepper announced the termination of the agreement surrounding a site in Rock Hill.
This has been a long saga. Our sister station in Charlotte obtained a statement on the decision today. It reads in part, on February 26, 2021, the city of Rock Hill became delinquent on their obligation to fund the public infrastructure. Despite our persistent efforts throughout 2021, the city of Rock Hill has failed to issue the bonds or provide the funding for the public infrastructure for the project. We have sent notices to the city to formally terminate the previous agreement. Accordingly, we are prepared to sit down with the city and other interested parties to discuss the significant challenges ahead.
The project has now been on hold for more than a month, and despite receiving a new funding offer from both the city of Rock Hill and York County, Panthers owner David Tepper hasn't released a statement until now. Officials say the project isn't completely off the table. Today's decision just terminates the current agreement. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
In just a few hours, Greensboro City Council members will tackle a hefty list of agenda items. A $135 million bond referendum and safety upgrades for the police department. But let's start with the city's effort to honor the late Guilford County Commissioner Carolyn Coleman. Greensboro City Council will decide whether to rename part of a downtown road after her. If approved, Bragg Street from Martin Luther King Jr. Drive to South Elm Street would now be known as Carolyn Coleman Way. Carolyn Coleman died in February. The civil rights trailblazer served on the county commission for almost 2 decades. She was 79 years old. Tonight, Greensboro City Council will also discuss whether to approve $1 million in upgrades for the police department facilities. These are all safety upgrades, things like cameras, fencing, lighting, and more. The money would come from federal COVID relief funds. The idea, a few months after a scary scene outside the police department building downtown. In August of last year, investigators say a man set fire to a police cruiser, grabbed an officer, and hit him in the face. 2 other officers saw the incident and shot the suspect. The SBI investigation continues. One more big ticket item on tonight's City Council agenda, a vote to approve a $135 million bond referendum. This would be for projects all across the city, and citizens, you, would get the final say in the matter. In all, there are 5 different bond items, each focusing on something different: transportation, housing, law enforcement, and more. If the City Council passes it, the bond would pop up on a special ballot on July 26th. On the national front, the race to the U.S. Senate is heating up in our state. New reports show Republican candidates Ted Budd and former Governor Pat McCrory really neck and neck when it comes to fundraising totals. Right now, former state Senate Supreme Court Justice Sherry Beasley is the frontrunner for the Democratic nomination. She has also raised the most of all the money among all the candidates to succeed the retiring GOP Senator Richard Burr. The North Carolina primaries are less than a month away, and if you need to check your registration status, now is the time to do it. Friday is the last day to register to vote. We've got information on how to check your registration, as well as looking at the 4 candidates running for mayor in Greensboro on WFMYnews2.com. Just search Election 2022.
Well, it's now time to look at the forecast with our meteorologist, Monique Robinson. Monique, am I going to need a jacket for that concert tonight?
Yes, you will. Now look at these flags. They are just dancing there in the Burlington skies as we're continuously feeling these strong winds through the day. We've had some really high wind gusts reported across the central Piedmont, and that continues as we go into the latter part of the day. The temperature sitting at 56 currently in Burlington. The nice blue skies, a much different picture as compared to yesterday. It was filled with abundant cloud cover. I talked about the winds today. You can see some really strong wind gusts, 35 miles per hour. That's the speed that you drive in a school zone. So we're talking some strong wind gusts across the area, at least in the early part of the day, especially when I was heading into work. The winds are starting to decrease as we look across the area. The current winds in a range of about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Some locations like in Burlington a little bit stronger, but as we continue through the night, the winds will decrease, but the temperatures are also going to decrease. A frost advisory, that's a light blue here, and a freeze warning as we look towards the dark purple a little bit further north has been issued across the central Piedmont, with the temperatures kind of around the either below freezing point or above freezing point. But regardless of whether you're going to be below it or not, you will need the coat, you will need the jacket, you may even need an extra layer because it is certainly going to be a cold night out there. Here's a look at that full 7-day, including the temperatures through the weekend and the start to next week. Look at that, dry for most of this 7-day. Not until next week where we have a rain chance that returns to the forecast. So it's looking warm across the area for the weekend.
I'm here. I am talking about, one parent doesn't want to wear a mask and the other one does. What do you do with the kids?
In case you missed it, masks are no longer required on federally regulated public modes of transportation like airplanes and city buses. Yesterday, a federal judge struck down the CDC's mask mandate extension, claiming the agency had overstepped its power. Since then, several airports have made adjustments to their policies, including PTI Airport. Last night, we spoke with travelers who got the announcement mid-trip.
We should wear masks on plane, airports, everywhere, because COVID is still here and it's contagious. You can get it from like anyone.
I'm tired of them too, but if it's for the public good, I think that it's fine. It's only a couple of hours. I just came in from Chicago O'Hare, and as soon as I got onto the shuttle bus and then went to the airport, I put it on, and I think we can all do our part. It's not that big of a deal.
Some folks still wanting to mask up. You can see not everyone on the same page about this decision. Regardless of how you feel personally, one thing is for sure. There will be times when you encounter someone with a differing opinion on the matter. So we brought in Blanca Cobb, who has a master's degree in psychology, to help you navigate those tense moments. Blanca, it's one thing running into someone in public who has a different opinion, but what if there's someone in your own household? Like, what if two different parents have different opinions?
That can be much of a pickle, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if mom and dad don't see eye to eye, then the kids are going to get very confusing signals. Should I wear the mask? Should I not? Why is mom wearing it and dad isn't? Or why
Wait, why it got to be dad that don't want to wear it?
Right. It just gets to be confusing.
I would say that their kids are looking for parents for what they should do. So how do you say, kids, mom feels this way, dad feels this way. What do you think?
You're off to a great start, Ben. That's exactly what you do. But before you open your mouth to your children, you and your partner want to get on the same page about masks. Whether you are, whether you aren't, whether you have different opinions, whatever it is, you want to make sure you present a united front because it's less confusing for your children. Then you can have a conversation and say, hey, mom's going to wear it, dad isn't, or both of us are not going to wear it. However, we want for you to wear the mask, or we don't want for you to wear the mask, whatever the situation is. You just want to present it matter-of-factly and take the emotion out of it.
So being on the same page does not mean that you have to have the same approach to masking.
No, it doesn't. Being on the same page is how you're going to present this to your children. Look, your children might challenge you anyway and go, well, that doesn't make sense. Why do you have to do something and we have to do the exact opposite? And this is just where parents have to talk to their kids and say, hey, look, as adults, we get to make different decisions than children. But as your parents, this is what we think that is best for you, even though it might look a little different because we are not wearing masks and you will be or you won't be.
What about if your kid gets bullied because they still want to wear their mask? What would you tell them to do?
As you do with everything else, you tell your children, you stand up for what you believe in. And so in those type of situations, you can tell your children, hey, look, you and your family made a decision to wear a mask or not wear a mask, but this is what my family's going to do. And you can just leave it at that. Just make it factual, take the emotion out of it, goes a long way.
Well, thanks so much, Blanca. We appreciate all your help and guidance as we all try to navigate this new world together. You can learn more from Blanca and continue the conversation on our Facebook page, Blanca Cobb, Body Language Expert. We'll be right back.
I like to ensure that you are well informed about the weather. So here are 3 things you need to know. It is going to be freezing tonight with a frost advisory issued until 9 a.m. for most of the central Piedmont. If you're some northern counties along the Virginia border, you can expect temperatures to be colder and really dropping below that freezing point. Elsewhere, we're kind of just dancing near it, but not necessarily dropping below it. Either way, protect your plants, bring them inside, or do other measures to make sure that they are good for the spring season as we continue on. Unseasonably warm temperatures and actually near 90 as we start out the week next week. And the good news is through the 7-day, at least for folks who want to do some outdoor stuff, the good news is that we're going to be staying dry for most of this week. In fact, the next rain chance isn't until a week from today, and hopefully that verifies and continues. So I talked about how the temperatures along those northern counties, you can see in towns like Reedsville and Eden, 31, dropping below the freezing point. And then as you look further south, we're kind of still very cold, but we're not necessarily below that 32. And when we look west, it's just about the same picture. We're colder as we look north, and then we're getting a little bit warmer as we look south, but everyone's just feeling the colder air. High pressure in place is keeping things quiet. Not a lot of activity on the radar. And like I said, that's going to persist for most of this week, remaining dry. And you can see that temperature trend on the upward slope as we go towards the weekend. We're just tacking on roughly 10 degrees each day until we get to Friday, which makes for a very nice weekend. I know a lot of folks have been looking forward to the opportunity to enjoy a spring weekend. But as you know, as temperatures build back, so does the pollen. And since it's going to be dry, we won't have another chance to wash it all away. I'll be talking the pollen report for the next couple of days coming up.
Boy Scouts are known for camping, hiking, earning merit badges, the Pinewood Derby. But how about adding this to the list? Regrowing Florida's coral reefs.
Pretty cool. Corals are extremely vulnerable to climate change, but as Bradley Blackburn reports, teenage scouts are now helping to fight for their future.
On an island in the Florida Keys, these tanks hold a new generation of corals just starting to grow.
So we're just transferring them so that we can clean their tank.
And these are some of the young scouts who are helping care for them.
Right now I'm checking the salinity of the water.
At the Boy Scouts of America's Sea Base, young men and women have been learning to scuba dive for decades, where they've seen up close how the colors and creatures in Florida's coral reefs are under serious threat.
It is dying, to be quite frank. And that's due to a number of factors, changes in water temp, quality, human interaction.
General Manager Mike Johnson thought scouts could be part of the solution. Using a technique called fragmentation, they cut corals into tiny pieces that regrow 50 times faster than they would in nature. The scouts then plant them underwater to rebuild the reef. This is what they can look like after 5 years.
So do you think there might be a coral restoration merit badge on the horizon?
I hope so.
Even without a badge, Scout Warren Vrone knows he's making a difference.
When I remember my biggest accomplishment in scouting, it would probably be the Sea Base program.
Since launching in 2018, the Sea Base Nursery has grown 10,000 corals and is part of a 2-decade project to restore millions of square feet of reef. 15-year-old Ryan Emmons says they're helping the sea and future scouts.
It's going to make an everlasting change and an everlasting benefit for future generations.
A scout service project for Mother Nature, building a brighter future under the sea. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
Wow. I mean, we know the Boy Scouts do amazing things for so many people, but to realize that they are actually helping the earth and the environment, that's mind-blowing.
What I love to see is that younger generations are making active efforts to make sure that our planet can last a little bit longer, because we do so many things that aren't good for the environment. So at a young age, knowing that they can make efforts to really make this planet better is really good.
And their stories have inspired all of us to do more too, I think. I really think about that when it's like, do I throw this in the recycling or do I throw it in the trash? I'm like, what would the young kids say? Because we are leaving behind a legacy for them, for sure.
Yeah. Very true. I mean, the fact that they said, did you hear him? He said that this coral reef will grow 50 times faster than it would naturally in the ocean. So it's like, And I know that there's such a huge problem with coral reefs, so this is incredible.
In general, in the ocean, there's so many different issues. So any restoration projects that are made, because when I lived along the coast, we had so many stories of different things that were occurring in the ocean that were not good. So any restoration efforts out there are certainly helpful for all of us.
Always better to leave things a little better than we found them, for sure.
Right. Gotta love on Mother Nature and Earth. So.
Way to go, Boy Scouts.
We'll be right back. Jinx, you owe me Coke. I'm not
Hey,
sure.
Facebook friends.
I need to hop on there right now.
How's your Tuesday going?
What are people saying on Facebook? Let's go on the chat. Let's see.
Oh my gosh, y'all.
What?
Jake just sent me a photo. I guess this was, I went to bed really early last night because
Shocker.
I'd worked GMS yesterday morning. I don't know, which camera can I show a photo? It's of Baylor snuggled up against me.
Aww.
Camera 5, where is, oh, right here. She's the funniest when she cuddles. Can you see it? It's kind of blurry. There we go. Look at that.
Well, that is adorable.
She's turned upside down. She's so funny.
I would be so worried I'd roll over on her in the middle of the night.
So she did not sleep in our bed until like just a couple months ago because I was terrified that that would happen. But I don't move because I'm so like conscious about it. But also she's big enough now and strong enough now to like move out of the, you know, if I were to move, she moves too. But
So totally different, not as cool as a baby, but
sorry, that distracted me.
our dog keeps trying to jump in the bed and I need help because
What? You don't want him in the bed?
No, first off, he's gigantic. Like a
that's
greyhound
true.
the size
That's
of a horse, like your dog, huge.
Yes.
It's just not supposed to be there.
Well,
Not
and
happening.
also dogs, they like stretch out.
Yeah.
So,
Facebook, please help me. How do you keep the dog out of the bed? Let us know.
or the child.
Cape Hatteras National Seashore is looking for a volunteer lighthouse keeper to live on the southernmost island of North Carolina's Outer Banks. Get this, the job includes working with tourists, key attractions, and Ocracoke Island, and representing the National Park Service at community events. The position will last from May 1st to September 30th. And here's a perk, you get free housing on the island. You know what a premium that goes for. That's in exchange for 32 hours a week of service hours. Well, here's my thought. If you're taking care of the lighthouse during all that, does that mean you're responsible for it during a hurricane?
Probably.
That would be terrifying, y'all.
Yeah, but this is someone's dream job to do something like this. And that makes me think about, what are your dream jobs?
This?
I would,
Obviously, bosses, this is my dream job, right?
Right, yeah.
to a degree, being honest, my dream job, I would actually want to just have my own show. Because news, I want it to be more
Stacey, let's
balanced.
let her have it.
Oh, here we go.
Live your dream, Monique. Live it.
There you go.
I want it to be more balanced with positive news and more feature stories to tell people, stories that are more positive, uplifting, and encouraging, not necessarily with the breaking news. A lot of that can be hard on the heart for a lot of people to hear often. So I would want it more balanced with nicer things.
Well, that's what we're so glad that you bring Mo on the go, you know, to us and add that to our show. I will say, growing up, being an anchor was always a dream. So this is, in a way, a dream job. But I would love to be a stay-at-home mom. Financially, that's not attainable at this time in my life. But having Baylor, that just changes perspective on things. Now, dream job, like, can I just be like Meghan Markle or somebody like that, like royalty?
Look pretty and
right? You just
have
go to
money.
engagements and wave your hand and you get paid to be there?
I always said if I wasn't doing this, I would be a reality TV show writer, because someone has to come up with all those good lines they're always saying.
Yeah, that's actually. What's your favorite reality show to watch?
Oh.
Are we omitting it?
I mean, first off, I have to say Survivor because we're on CBS, right? But all the Real Housewives, of course. Really, I get sucked into all of them just because I think real life is so much more interesting than things you make up.
But are they scripted or unscripted?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
It's still juicy though.
I like the ones that they're unscripted, but they're edited together well.
I get what you're saying. I think it might be all scripted.
Well, let us know in the chat your dream job. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 4 to 5 here on WFMY News 2, Fire Stick, Roku, and the News 2 app for your TV, phone, or tablet. I'm Stacey Spivey, joined alongside Monique Robinson and Ben Briscoe on this wonderful Tuesday. We have a lot of news to get to and weather, and I'm going to go ahead and let Ben take over.
Yeah, we want to get to a breaking story right now. New details about the deadly Davie County fire. Firefighters say 4 people died in the home yesterday in Coolamy. The Davie County Sheriff's Office was called to the scene when firefighters discovered suspicious circumstances. That's new information. Officials haven't said much else about the fire or what may have caused it. We do know a mother, father, and their 2 children died inside the home. Their names have not been released at this time. The investigation into the fire is still ongoing. Here's something else that's still ongoing. Pretty much everyone can relate to this. The cost of groceries keeps going up and up.
They were 59 cents, so they are 132. Gas is too expensive. Oh no, this is too expensive.
Right now, prices on just about everything are up as war continues in Ukraine.
At first, price hikes were all related to the high gas prices and shipping costs, but now farmers are feeling the pressure of Russian sanctions too. A professor of supply chain practice at Syracuse University says it's just going to get more expensive to grow crops.
To exacerbate matters, now we have this other issue where now Ukraine is not farming, they're not producing anything, they're not being able to ship stuff out.
Ukraine is one of the world's leading suppliers of wheat, corn, and other grains. Wheat is a main ingredient in beer. Brewers across the country say they're feeling the strain, but that's not all. Russia is a major exporter of aluminum, so the cost of cans is up too.
To make matters worse, it doesn't look like things in Ukraine will let up anytime soon. Today, Ukraine's president says Russia launched attacks on the eastern part of their country. President Biden had held a video call with allies this morning discussing next steps. Officials say another round of sanctions targeting Russia is expected soon, along with another shipment of weapons to Ukraine.
North Carolina is closer and closer to hitting a goal of creating 50,000 new jobs by 2050. Today, the Carolina Corps, along with state leaders and the Piedmont Triad Partnership, celebrated all the economic development across the state. This includes the progress in the Piedmont Triad job market. They say 33,000 jobs were created since 2018. It's a milestone that takes everyone from local to state leaders, and even bigger economic announcements could be coming.
230 active projects are what we are working on right now, which combined have the potential for 69,000 new jobs and $52 billion of investment if we win every single one of those 230 deals. I'd like to think that we can, but our job, of course, is to win as many of those as we can. And as I said, this region is well positioned.
Since December, Toyota, Boom Supersonic, and the expansion of several other companies were announced. The Toyota Greensboro Randolph megasite alone is expected to create 1,700 jobs by 2025.
New at 4:30, construction for a new fire station is underway now in Winston-Salem. City officials held a groundbreaking at what's soon to be Fire Station number 3. The new building will replace the one that's on North Liberty Street right now. The city says it was completed in 1964 and it lacks adequate fire truck bays, living facilities, and even office and storage space. They say the replacement station will cost more than $4 million and was approved by voters in November 2018. It's National Volunteer Week. If you're looking to lend a helping hand, there are several volunteer events happening in the Triad. This week, the Habitat for Humanity Restore on West Gate City Boulevard is collecting household items for Guilford County families in need. Everything donated is resold and the profits go towards building low-income family housing. There's also a big push to help this week with Backpack Beginnings, a nonprofit supporting children and families across Guilford County.
The need is greater than ever. So with the inflation like it is, and just those food needs and those basic needs that are there, you know, you can have 2 working parents get government assistance, and still data shows there's about a 3-day gap every month to help meet those needs. So we provide supplemental help just to help families make it to the next month.
Last year alone, the nonprofit provided resources to more than 17,000 kids. There are so many ways to engage with the community this week. You can find links to sign up at WFMYnews2.com.
Fans will finally feel the love tonight as Elton John takes the stage at the Greensboro Coliseum. His concert was originally scheduled for May 23, 2020, but because of the pandemic, it will finally go on nearly 2 years later. This is all part of his Farewell Yellow Brick Road Tour, which covers 5 continents and over 350 dates. According to his website, after more than half of a century on the road, the 75-year-old plans to retire. I spoke with Jennifer Crane, who arguably have one of the best seats tonight, and let's get this, she's even getting paid to be there.
For 3 years, I've been waiting to see Elton John because I've been to lots of concerts, but that's one of those bucket list rock icons, you know.
Crane will be helping people find their floor seats, and then she gets to watch Elton John perform as an usher.
Someone Saved My Life Tonight is my favorite Elton John song. And I really hope he does that, but we'll see.
Okay, so some of you were also talking about the concert on my Facebook page. Linda says, I saw him in Greensboro in the early 70s. Fantastic performer. Still a fan, but sadly won't see this show. Jan writes, not tonight. He puts on an awesome show. Saw him back in the 70s. Brian wishes he could go. Christina says, my son and I are going. I can't wait. He is one of my all-time favorites. Rick adds, friends of mine went to see him in Indianapolis, said the concert was awesome. Now, Elton John isn't the only artist that's had to move things around due to the pandemic. Garth Brooks says he had to reschedule several stadium concerts because of COVID and bad weather. In fact, the constant jumbling around has the country music singer and songwriter saying his current stadium tour will be his last.
For the band and crew, I'm just going to say it's too much.
Brooks says he'd rather play indoor venues after this tour. He is set to perform at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte in July. At first, he was supposed to do one show, but due to high demand, he had to add another. And then, of course, we have Paul McCartney coming here as well. I can't remember the exact date on that, but just, 3 really big names.
Yeah.
Y'all, I literally cannot wait for tonight. We have been waiting for years now to believe it's finally here. I'm just ready to sing Crocodile Rock, and I've got an outfit planned and everything.
Can we hear a little taste? Just a little, because we don't have the royalties.
Me singing?
Yeah.
What? Go for it, Ben.
Listen, Elton's coming tonight. I'm going to let him do it.
Yeah, let's just let him do the singing, because no.
What I love about Greensboro is how it is a stop on a lot of artist tours. So even, when you look at the Greensboro Coliseum calendar, there's so many amazing talents that come here throughout the year. I'm fortunate that I'm here and it's not 2020, so a lot of the events I can actually attend, but it's just, it's so amazing that, I'm looking forward to at the end of May, I'm going to an Erykah Badu concert. She's coming to visit. I've previously went on some other tours that I've been here, so it's really awesome.
Yeah, and we have the Tanger Center that has brought in so much. There's just really a lot going on right now, and especially as the weather gets better, I think we're just going to have even more concerts to look forward to.
Every week there's something fun to do in Greensboro.
Really,
this weekend, too, we've got the food truck rodeo back in downtown.
Oh.
There's a lot of stuff going on, and I think that we also have the perfect weather this week to make it great.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm looking forward to, because over the last several weeks, the main thing that I've been hearing on my social media, people will message me, even email me and say, Monique, over the past couple of weekends, it seems like I never really get to enjoy it. The nice weather is during the week when I'm working, but when I get time and I get a break, it's bad weather. But I'm not expecting for that to occur this week. So our satellite radar currently, it's nothing happening here, and that's just because nothing's happening outside. There's no clouds, no rain for either us here in North Carolina or folks down to the south in South Carolina. When we look to the north and east, it just looks messy here. We're talking snow. We're seeing some mixed precipitation. We're even seeing some rain and some clouds. Like I said, that's well far to the northeast. Across Texas, they're getting some storms. This is our everyday thing there as that dry line pushes across the state. But as we widen our view here and we look at the temperature, we're seeing everyone is kind of in a cool spot. I mean, even folks down in Tampa at 84, that's a little bit cooler for them. They're generally very warm this time of year, and even in Texas at 72. But things will change as weather pattern shifts, that high pressure, and we're going to start to get warmer. Current temperature 55 in Greensboro, but tonight we're all falling down to some bitterly cold 30s. But tomorrow we're bouncing back to the 60s. I'm looking forward to it under plenty of sunshine.
Hey, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together like a classic combination. Remember this, 2019. We'd all be out at a restaurant eating, sometimes talking, always on our phones, taking pictures of food, texting the people not there, sometimes texting the people that were there. Then came COVID, and we were stuck at home, eating alone, no friends, oftentimes no family either, void of communication. Then in 2021, we were still eating alone, but sometimes we were having dinner or breakfast or happy hour with friends by Zoom. Communication was back and we were happy. And now it's even better. We can eat together in restaurants again. And guess what? We're back on our phones, just like we were.
Can you relate to this progression, friends?
First off, could you have found a more pathetic, sadder looking picture for 2020?
I know, that poor dude, right?
Depressing.
And he's there all by himself, and it's like kind of dark, and he's just eating all by himself. But it's true, right? Did we not all do that?
True. Yeah, you hit this right nail on the head.
Okay, and now we're back to where we started. We're all in the restaurant, we're doing this.
The phone eats first.
The phone eats first.
Never heard that saying?
No.
It's a thing.
Is that because we're taking pictures of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're always on your phone before you actually eat your food that they serve. Like you got to take a picture, or you got to finish a text. Phone eats first.
Phone eats first. All right. Well, once again, restaurants are getting into the mind your manners business. I want you to look at this. This eatery is hoping to help customers stay locked in. The Spice Fusion restaurant is giving customers 20% off their bill if they lock their phones in a tabletop phone jail. The promotion is called Dinner is Better When We Eat Together. And what I want you to do, I want you to see that thing there in the middle. That's the table jail for the phone. So tabletop jail, we've heard of this before, but now that there's a 20% incentive to put your phone down, is that better?
I kind of feel like it's just a publicity gig. Look, restaurants, I appreciate you trying to instill family values, but leave it to the people who are eating to make up their own mind.
That's true. I think it's still a great idea. I mean, I feel like I wish my family, we would be better at this. And maybe if a restaurant did like something like this in our area, I'd be more willing to go and do it. Yeah.
And do the 20% off.
Yeah.
I know. So it's a little bit more like that you think that they shouldn't police you for that.
Yeah, I don't think I would eat there, actually.
Okay. Well, you don't have to use the phone jail.
I think it's just, they're trying to hop on a trend here of people being upset. I want to hear from the owner and be like, why has this really impacted your personal life?
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
And maybe the whole thing is don't nag me, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
You can put your thoughts in Facebook and you can let them know what you think, whether that's nagging or not, or whether you do it. We'll see ya.
Pollen. It makes you sneeze. It blankets your car in yellow. It's the unwelcome side of spring. But there are positives to pollen. Beekeeper Stephen Rivers says every third bite you eat is going to come from something that has been pollinated by honeybees. Now, when I first heard that, I was confused because I was like, honeybees? All I thought about was honey. But Stephen says it's bigger than honey.
Oranges, cantaloupe, cucumbers, anything that you can think of that requires pollination, it comes from a honeybee.
He says we also wouldn't have any almonds without honeybees. I learned farmers will sometimes bring their honeybee hives to California to help with almond production. Stephen was the best expert on honeys. He told me a bumblebee pollinates more than a honeybee, but the honeybee is faster.
They can pollinate 10 plants. A honeybee may not get but 5, but they're very efficient. And plus you get the honey as a reward.
So you may have heard the spring trick that local honey cures allergies, but the National Institute for Health says, hold your horses. The NIH says the local honey can help to lower inflammation, so less sneezing and nasal itchiness, but not an end-all be-all as for curing your allergies.
Can we just talk about how this man loves honey so much? His curtains are yellow, his shirt was yellow. I adore
just embracing it, right?
No, that family was actually wonderful. They're out in Reedsville, and in fact, they told me a story about how their bees at one point had gotten angry. He was stung 30 times by bees, and his wife was ready to say, let's just give up on the bees, and he said, let's keep them around because they do provide benefits for us.
Wow.
Even after being stung by 30 bees?
They have so much respect. Farmers as a whole, they have so much respect for nature, where for us, we don't sometimes understand, but like for them, they're like, you know, they told me there's so much we can learn from bees. They work together as a team. Each of them have a position and they support the queen. So, I mean, they work together and humans can learn a lot from them bees.
That's true.
I think we should go try to put on beekeeper suits and see this in person. You want to do that?
I'll let you go, right?
I mean, I was a beekeeper for Halloween, so does that count?
Stacy.
But, you know, I love the message behind this. So, pollen, there is a reason for it. There's a reason why we need it to have it, you know, just like kind of everything in life. Like, I hate spiders, but we need them to eat insects. You know, there's just like, there's a reason for everything. Circle of life kind of thing.
Right.
It's just that reason can stay over there.
I mean, that's what some of the animals are saying about us.
Yeah.
Like the deers are like, can they move out the way? Like, I'm trying to live here.
I'm trying to cross the road. This car's in my way. Well, anyway, I know the pollen counts have been pretty high lately. Did the rain help wash it away any?
The rain did help very briefly to lower the grass pollen just a little bit. I'm stepping out the way to get my clicker. I'm missing my tools here so I can tell the weather. So our tree pollen remained high, but our grass pollen low and weeds low, but it's coming on back. I mean, it's not staying low forever. We're in the spring season. As those flowers and plants continue to bloom, that pollen skyrocketing once again. So we're talking high tree pollen for your Wednesday, for your Thursday, and your Friday. That grass and weed pollen is on the low end of things. And actually, I was looking this up, folks on social media were talking about our pollination conversation yesterday. The grass pollen actually increases very briefly behind a weather event, but as it continues to dry up again and we start to get that spring bloom continuing, the tree and the weeds start to bounce back as well. So I talked about how it's going to be dry for the next several days as high pressure remains in place. Not until Tuesday will we get the next big chance for rain to roll into our area. So you see it on here on that futurecast. Tuesday is the next big shot for rain, but for the rest of it, it's staying fairly dry. So you can see that full 7-day on here as the temperatures continue to warm towards the 80s.
Monique, thank you. Tonight's colder temperatures may require you to cover some of your outside plants. Covering them up protects the hard work that you put in to get some of your seeds to grow. Today, Coach Lamont explains how your life is also a reflection of what you decided to grow.
Sowing and reaping, a principle that is so powerful that it is who we are. For whatsoever we reap, we will sow. What this means is whatsoever you contribute in life will manifest itself in some type. An example would be if you sow exercise and you will reap a healthier body. If you sow time, you will reap a reward. If you sow good energy, you will reap good energy. The foundation behind this principle is whatsoever you put out into the world will release a result, whether positive or negative. So evaluate your life. Everything you have reaped it because you sowed it. If you want greatness and a great life, sow seeds that will reap that. And remember, never expect to reap from a garden you never sowed in. This is Coach Lamont. Make today your best you day. I'll see you tomorrow.
Hello, mic check 1, 2, 3, Tuesday. All right.
Hi, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas sucks, Kentucky, Louisiana.
I'm sorry, that makes me laugh every time. Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At least you're not saying Arkansas.
In Greensboro, the DOJ is still weighing whether to challenge yesterday's federal court ruling or not, but as for now,
It's time for my 2 cents. After nearly 2 years of waiting, my husband and I are finally going to see Elton John in concert tonight at the Greensboro Coliseum. We actually bought the tickets for each other for Christmas back in December 2019. This will be my first concert since the pandemic began, but it's definitely not my first. My first concert was when I was 8 years old, the boy band 98 Degrees, and yes, my mom saved the ticket stub. That's where my love for live music began. I've seen everyone from Britney Spears and NSYNC to Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber, and of course, Harry Styles. There's just something about being in a venue and singing along with thousands of other people. It's a couple of hours you get to escape from reality, dance like no one's watching, and sing at the top of your lungs, even if you have the worst singing voice. So whether it's Elton John tonight, Garth Brooks this summer, or even just your praise band this Sunday at church, I'm so grateful live music is back. That's just my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts right now.
We are getting new information today in day 2 of the trial involving 4 men in Winston-Salem convicted in the murder of NBA